So Sony has been on a bit of a buying spree lately, and that shouldn't be too much of a surprise, as they've said that that's really kind of the plan going forward. We are absolutely living in the world of content, and content matters most. And not only that, but supposedly it's rumored that Sony's not done. I know that, like I've joked around, obviously Microsoft's probably not done either, and all these companies are going to go out and acquire as many different studios as they can, because the future is content, and I think the content is the obviously the key point. And you don't have to look any further than anybody that provides content, any kind of like a Netflix or even these consoles, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. What's the main thing about them all? They all have their own particular brand of content, or lack of content in Xbox's case. But PlayStation officially acquired Bluepoint. They had also ended up getting some other games as well, some studios, and it's heavily rumored that they're going to pick up some more, because Herman Hulst actually talked about this and starts going on about it. And I absolutely love his response to this stuff. So the interesting thing is, Bluepoint is actually going to make a new IP. They're working on a brand new game, so they're not doing a remake or a remaster. Though PlayStation and Bluepoint have been working together for years, Bluepoint has remained independent all that time. That has now changed, of course, and Herman Hulst and the head of Bluepoint explained why the two decided to make a merger official and bring Bluepoint under the PlayStation Studios banner. And it largely came down to wanting to make that working relationship as beneficial to both sides as possible, to let the studio produce its best work. Bluepoint is now in a place where there's hardly an entity imaginable that knows PlayStation better than they do, because they've worked with so many different teams on their respective iconic franchises, and they've had a developer insight in a wonderful way, according to Herman Hulst, explaining that he let the team finish up Demon Souls before discussions really began about acquisition. We've expressed it probably better together, making sure that Bluepoint can focus on their games, can focus on what they do best, and making amazing worlds, wonderful character development, and make use of all the resources that we have to offer, according to Herman Hulst. And from Mr. Thrush's perspective, who is the head of Bluepoint, he says the two sides have worked so well together, making the acquisition happen really just allows them to continue doing so without any red tape getting in the way. He says, and I quote, "We've loved working with PlayStation all these years. There's really nobody else we'd want to rather work with. So we started talking to these guys, and just happened to work out. And now our future is extremely bright. As Herman was saying, we have all these opportunities ahead of us. We have all the Sony support. We don't have to grow to become a gigantic studio. We have lots of helping hands on the Sony side. Now they can fill in any gaps to maintain our studio culture." As for when the deal came together, Hulst explained that largely talks occurred after Demon Souls was released, so that the team could continue its focus on delivering that PlayStation 5 exclusive. The two sides actually saw eye to eye on why the acquisition would be beneficial, and to put it simply, it allows Bluepoint as the studio, and Thrush as the studio president, to focus more on creating experiences they want to, and not to worry about as much as money and security. I've also in my past ran an independent studio, and I realized that the amount of work you need to do, even when you have a close partnership on business acquisitions and making sure you hedge your bet, there's a lot of energy that goes into that, according to Holst. I know that it will take we take that weight off of Marco's plate and let him focus on what he wants to focus on with the team, and I think it's good for both parties. And they actually talked about it, how well it was a good partnership and things like that. And although PlayStation has been on a bit of an acquisition spree lately, Firesprite, Nixus, and House Marquee, and now Bluepoint, Hulst explained that Sony's recent approach is born from a desire to let these teams do their best work with resources of PlayStation at their disposal. He says, and I quote, "The way we look at our group studios is we now have 16 internal teams as part of PlayStation Studios. It's very much the way we look at our games. It needs to be right. It needs to fit what we're about in qualitative terms. It's got to be the right games. Same with the teams," which I think is very important. The teams have to be very collaborative mindset. They need to be quality oriented. We're not buying teams to just be bigger. We're only buying teams because we feel that together we're going to be making something that is going to be even better than if we did it separate from one another. PlayStation isn't necessarily going to stop looking at potential acquisitions, Herman Holst explained, but they need to be studios that both share the same values and can expand what's offered to PlayStation players. He says, and I quote, "We are open to always building new relationships or bringing people in-house, but only if we adhere to the quality-first mentality and that the right kind of innovative content, new experiences, diverse experiences, because all of these teams, they share a lot. But they're also very different from one another. And that's what I really like," Hall said. And I think that's the PlayStation audience. The PlayStation fans deserve it's the diverse slate of games coming out of PlayStation Studios. So basically, it's a quality first approach, right? Like, not just going out there and buying a studio for being able to go out and, for the sake of buying a studio. I think that's super important. One of the things that I really thought was cool was the way that they've kind of organically got it. Like, this isn't hurting Xbox in any way. This isn't a Bethesda type deal. This is something that realistically I feel like is incredibly smart move for them, and it's an organic move because Bluepoint was basically a second party deal anyway, right? Same with Housemarque. They weren't taking them. It's not hurting Xbox or anybody else. And I'll give an Xbox good example. Playground Games. They had only done Xbox games, so Microsoft buying them isn't hurting the industry, isn't hurting anything. So that's, I think, a huge difference. I love the organic way that they help build these studios up and then buy them after they've kind of plumped and are ready to go. And again, I want to be perfectly clear. Microsoft buying Bethesda, smart move, good move. You needed to do something because you had nothing. And just think, if they didn't buy Bethesda, next year's Xbox lineup would be, exclusive-wise, nothing. Because the only two exclusives they have lined up are Redfall and Starfield. So yeah, imagine the first 2-3 years on Xbox Series X with only a Halo and a Forza game. Sheesh. You see why they were kind of backed in the corner to do what they did, but still, that does hurt the industry because it takes away this huge group of people that could potentially play your games. I think Sony should go out there and buy up as many different studios as they can. Don't go willy-nilly the way that Microsoft did, but you hit them cut fast and run. You got to get in there and buy Ember Lab next, or buy, buy something buy From Software. I mean, that would be a huge blow, I think, to Xbox, right? And I don't think From Software would lose that much because I think those games do extremely well on PlayStation with the PlayStation ecosystem. So you have to kind of remember that and look at it that sort of way. That's the way I look at it. I think Sony should get, they don't have to go spend $7.5 billion on some huge studio. They could just do as good a job as they can with buying some of these smaller ones. I think most people would agree that it's very interesting how Sony bought Insomniac Games for $229 million or $250 million, and that has procured more games so far and more notable games than anything than all of what Bethesda's doing so far. So I mean, obviously all the studios Bethesda have will eventually outdo what Insomniac is doing in terms of volume, but probably not in terms of sales and quality. I mean, Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine are just going to sell like hotcakes. And the only games I think I see selling huge from Bethesda are probably, Elder Scrolls, the next one in 2027 or whatever, a new Fallout, if that should ever come out. Maybe Starfield, but not having any PlayStations, I think is going to hurt that, and obviously the sales-wise with Game Pass, it's going to hurt it. But yeah, I think Sony should go and do whatever they can, lock down as many studios as they can. They need to get ready because we are in the content wars, and you have places like Netflix. You've got Amazon in the mix. I don't think Google so much in the mix right now, but yeah, very interesting to see how this is all going and how it's going to end up working out, at the end of the day. It doesn't always work out the way that we think as fans, but it is interesting to see nonetheless. I mean, hell, leading up to the launch of these consoles, I was told time and time again that Xbox was the best box and was going to just destroy everything, and now we know that these things are incredibly close, and Sony's doing good stuff, Microsoft's doing good stuff. It's not nearly as drastic as people try to make it out to be. So like I said, very interesting. Sony should go do their thing. I gotta admit, it is a little bit fun to sense the tension from the Xbox fanboys when Sony's out there buying these studios, and you can tell that there is a little bit of worry there, and I think there probably should be, because Sony is already like 2 steps ahead of Microsoft in pretty much everything. So it's going to be fun to see how this plays out. Let me know what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. If you enjoy the content, leave us a like, share it out, tell your mom, dad, cousin, uncles, whoever, and rack them up, fact them up, crap gamer them up. Crap Gamer out.